So you want them? Oh, you want
This is
that?
a whole new world. This is like Aladdin. What is that?
It's getting too technical. But this is actually so low tech, but it's high tech.
It's 1 second behind.
We have lots of chips. We have tortillas.
Welcome to this beautiful group of men. Chaim, this year is dedicated to you. Every single one of you who has come and showed up for the past year. And this is the last year of the year, which is very interesting. This is our last hurrah. And in my humble opinion, I think we had a strong run for this whole year. I think it was a very strong, powerful year. And what does it take to have a strong year is a bunch of strong, powerful men. To be committed to learning, to coming out on a Thursday night when you could do lots of other things. Believe me, there's lots of other things to do on a Thursday night. And the fact that you came here is a testament to what you're committed to in life. So I salute you, all of you, including myself. And thank you, Hashem, for allowing that, basically with no interruption, we can continue doing this. Chaim Levracha.
I saw a cute video by the Rebbe today. So, the journalist came to him for dollars before Rosh Hashanah. And the journalist said, "What's your message to the Jewish people?" So the Rebbe, she's talking fluent English. So the Rebbe said, "Akasiva v'chasima teva, Lashana teva, whatever." And right away when the Rebbe said it, it didn't make sense, because usually the Rebbe always answers. So she says, "What?" He said, "Listen, I'm going to use the Hebrew words because that's the same words that they use in the Machzor. I'm scared that if I say it in English, then they're going to change the translation in all the Machzorim based on what I'm saying."
Oh, wow. That's cool.
But the Rebbe is so humble and yet so powerful at the same time. He's showing you, I know who I am. I know my power, he's saying. I know. And what's interesting is, I don't think the journalist had any clue what was going on.
No one.
But you see the maskirid, the rabbis that take care of the rabbi, they're on the sides and they're like, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh yeah." It's so cool. I love watching these little rabbi videos.
Little videos of the big Rebbe.
So powerful. So powerful.
So here we are, guys.
Oh, also one thing, did you see Rashi this week in Chitas? Rashi says that Moshe was handing over the leadership to Yeshua ben Nun. So Rashi comments, there's only one leader. The Zakanim are there to advise you, but there's only one leader. Have you read that?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's other nice people. There's a lot of nice people. I'm a nice guy, but I'm not a Rebbe.
Wait, sorry. Rashi said this? There's only one leader?
When Moshe passed over to Yeshua, the leadership.
So it says that Moshe told Yeshua, you have to take advice from the Zakanim. Ki'ilu, maybe you could think that maybe there's 70 people that could make up decide, on a situation. So Rashi makes sure to comment that Moshe mentioned him. There's only one leader. At the end of the day, all these guys are here for just to give you advice. And you have to listen to them, but there's one leader. Yeah. Chaim Levracha. Okay, no, sorry. Not sorry. Who?
Let's go. What's the name?
Father, no?
Yeah.
Anshul ben Shmuel.
Herschel ben Shmuel is
Anshul.
Anshul ben Shmuel is Neshama Shadav and Aliyah. As Yurtzeit is the Shabbos. Yeah.
No, it's not one. Actually, I gave Johnny last week, so
Really, thank you. Thank you, Mac, for the candles. They weren't the right candles, but we'll take them.
That's all they had.
They didn't have the plain wax ones? Where? Dollar store?
Not yet, not the big one.
No, you didn't check on
I
them.
did.
In the candle section?
Yep. The big ones like you got.
No, the top
What
shelf?
were you telling me about how amazing Mac is? I was just.
Mac is amazing. He's a stand-up guy. He gets candles.
So what are you busting his chops for?
So I am I busting your chops? Sorry. Hi, Mac.
You're only busting his chops because of his reaction. It's not about what you do, it's about how someone else takes it, right? That's what it always is. How do we give the message over to the person listening? That's the question. And that's what tonight's shir is all about. How do we give over the message to the person that's listening? And so for some people, you have to laugh with them because maybe their heart will open up. For other people, you have to tell it to them with a tzimtzum, with a certain contraction, like a Cole's notes. Like they don't have the attention span, or maybe the message is so lofty that they need to make it relatable to them. Anyways, okay, so I'm just going to start because whoever is here is the ones that's meant to be here. So, tonight we explore Rosh Hashanah. That's what we're doing here tonight. So please put away your phones. And tune in. It's a nice intimate crowd, which is beautiful. So, this is a mimer given over in the year of 1804. This year, we are going to celebrate Rosh Hashanah on Thursday and Friday. It goes right into Shabbos. And the Thursday is a Shir Shel Yom. There's every day of the week there's a Shir Shel Yom. And so it happens to be, coincidentally, the Shir Shel Yom of Thursday there's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, Tiku ba'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu ki ichoy kol Yisrael hu mishpat laleikei Yaakov. That's the one pasuk that we say it on Thursday, but we say this during Rosh Hashanah. This pasuk is referring, I'll just translate, shablo in the month, the shofar, in its designated day. It should be a holiday for us because this is a statute for the Jewish people, and it's the day of judgment for the God of Yaakov. Guys, everyone got it? Okay. So, when it says Tiku b'chodesh, when it says you shall blow in this month, which is the main thing that we're going to focus on, the second part of the pasuk doesn't really matter, but it says you shall blow in the month. Tiku b'chodesh shofar. Now this, if you know a little bit about Torah, it doesn't mention in the entire Torah, it doesn't mention the word Rosh Hashanah once. And when we're referring to this pasuk over here, it says Tiku b'chodesh, it says you should blow in the month. Which month? Which month are we talking about?
Right.
Why does it say Tiku b'chodesh? Why does it say Tiku b'Rosh Hashanah? Or Tiku b'chodesh Harishon?
Right, or B'tishrei, yeah.
B'tishrei. So this is what the first thing, and because the Alter Rebbe says here that every single month is called the month of the year, But when it comes to Tishrei, and it was labeled out what every month is about, like we know Elul, Ani L'Daidi V'Daidi Li, but when it comes to Chodesh Tishrei, it's said Chodesh just by itself. Chodesh Stam, as it says. Just by itself, plain. Nothing else to it, no flavor. And it says Bekesa. Bekesa means, it's talking about concealment, it's hidden. What it's referring to is the moon is concealed. So we can deduce from the fact that the moon is concealed, the only holiday where there's a moon concealed, because which holiday is the moon concealed? If we talk about Sukkot, it's not, because in the middle of the month the moon is full. Pesach is not, the moon is full. Shavuos, like it's just all of these times of the year, the moon isn't concealed. So when is the moon concealed? We come to the conclusion that it's Rosh Hashanah, because that's the holiday that it's speaking about. It's the only time of the year that the moon is concealed, which is relevant to the theme of the holiday. Now we're tapping into, on Rosh Hashanah, is a certain concealment. The Kabbalistic Svarim say like this: when it comes to the end of the year, the last day of the year, the moon goes into full hiding, and from Wednesday night this year until the moment that the shofar is blown, the entire world does not exist from God giving it chayus, from God giving it life, in a sense that He wants to give it life, in a sense that He's invested in the process. The only time that He comes back to this idea of wanting to...
For a person.
What?
For a person, not for each person.
No, I'm saying in the world, there's what's called anistalkus, which means the light of the world, of which God used to vivify and create the world, is removed. His will, His desire to create the world is removed. So when that night it goes into hiding, like even the moon goes fully into hiding, represents no light, no hashpa, no giving over, influence of God giving over, until the moment that the shofar is blown. He does not have the will and desire to recreate the world. So it's hanging on, as we know, by the chitzonim, the outer will of God, so to speak, of just like basically by a thread. So if we didn't blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, if there was, throughout the entire world, if the shofar was not blown on Rosh Hashanah, the world would cease to exist. Like that. Boom. Game over. What recreates the world is the blowing of the shofar. So that's just a cool concept to ponder. But
Like, you're just saying that? Is there something to back that up, or like?
yeah, this is brought. No, this is. What do you mean? This is brought in Chassidus.
Where is this? Okay, so
I'm quoting you right here what it's saying. I'm telling you.
that's Chassidus.
I'm telling you exactly what it's saying right
The
here.
Alter was saying.
Yes. And why it's called Chodesh Stam, why it's only called Chodesh, is because there's a hischadshus in the entire world. There's no reason for it to be called Tishrei, because there wasn't a concept of Tishrei yet. Why was there no concept of Tishrei? Because there's no idea of months. Chodesh means the beginning, the newness, the recreation of something anew that didn't exist before, so to speak. So when it says Chodesh, it's because it's a Chiddush Klali, what's called. A Chiddush Klali means it's a general idea of the entire life force of the world gets reinvested the moment the shofar is blown on Rosh Hashanah.
Wow.
And what is the recreation? What's that newness? That's called the recreation Yesh Ma'ayin. What's Yesh Ma'ayin? Something from nothing. Something from nothing means...
What we're saying is that on Rosh Hashanah, a new download comes to the world.
I'm saying even more than that. Not only does a new download come, because there's always going to be a new download, the light is more revealed than the year before.
Yeah, same thing.
Yes.
Meaning it's a deeper download.
So new download could mean there's this new concept. It is more light on top of the light that currently exists in the world for whatever it is. That every year we get more light added on top of the old light, so to speak, that was in existence. But for the world to recreate itself, there needs to be what's called this chidush klali, something from nothing. Now we know that Rosh Hashanah is called Rosh Hashanah. What does Rosh Hashanah mean? Rosh Hashanah means it's the head of the year. Why do we say head? So the Alter Rebbe says that this is a Shem Hamushal. This is a borrowed name. It says Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because it's not like there's an actual head of the year. Like there's a physical head on the year, and you
Right,
put
it's not the real translation of what it should be.
exactly. So
Tchilas Hashanah.
it should be the beginning of the year, right? It should be Tchilas Hashanah. It should be I don't know. Is there another word to say the beginning? But that's the idea.
Rishon.
Yeah, Rishon. You could say the first day, but it says Rosh Hashanah, and the reason it says Rosh is because there's a certain convergence with these three levels, which are called, the acronym is Ashan, which is Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. Olam means space, Shana means time, Nefesh means consciousness. So when we're thinking of ourselves, there's a convergence that comes together between those three different things. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? If you don't, let me say one more time.
Yeah, say that word.
You have to be able to make time relevant. Time and space are relevant to existence. And they mirror each other's, like you can use an analogy from time in order to understand something about yourself. You can use something with space. They have to converge. They have to meet and be comparable to each other. So when we say like Rosh Hashanah, if I say Rosh Hashanah, well, let's think about what a Rosh is. So a Rosh, a head, means the head of my body, the part of my body that directs everything. It's the thing that makes all the decision, and all of life flows through the head because the head decides really how to live the life. So you say most people, they're 99.9% of the time they're in their head. Or, some people would say it's 90-10, but 99.9% of the time they're in their head, which means the head is really directing everything if you think about it. So what is Rosh Hashanah? It's the totality of the consciousness of the year. So that now we're coming closer into understanding a little bit of a relationship. What is Rosh Hashanah? It's a time that we get to direct the entire flow of what our year is going to be on those 2 days. Are we getting somewhere with this? If it's the head, and the head, if it's the head, let's repeat. If it's the head, if it's the head, then the head directs the whole body. It's 99.9% of what we do is based on where our head wants us to go. We have times that we lose control of our ability to use our head because our heart is strong, but generally speaking, I'm making decisions with my head. So what that means for Rosh Hashanah is what we're experiencing on Rosh Hashanah is the head is the totality of consciousness for the year. It's the neurological time of the year. Where my neural pathways are going to flow for this year is decided on Rosh Hashanah. Where my focus is, whatever you focus on grows. Where focus goes, energy flows. There's so many ways of saying it, but the idea is that the head is directing the whole year, and that's what we say. If you want a good year, the head of the year should be in the right place so you could get a good year. Okay, fine, makes sense. Now that's a nice saying, but every Rosh Hashanah also comes with a new light. There's a new light that comes in. The question is, are we meeting that new light? Are we?
It said something that Rosh Hashanah is like the beginning of spiritual consciousness or something.
Okay. No, I said it's the totality of consciousness for the whole year. It's the totality of consciousness
Go through that.
because it's 99.9% of what we do is based on our head. And if head represents in consciousness
represents head.
where I flow with my life, then head of the year represents how my whole year is going to go. So it's the totality of consciousness for the whole year. It's the neurological time of the year. It is the time that is deciding how we're going to be able to experience this year. So how am I showing up to Rosh Hashanah?
What you're introducing right now.
You have total influence over it.
Total influence over
You're
it.
introducing the
Total
driver's seat.
Literally
influence
the rest
over
of the year.
Yes.
total influence over it.
What you're saying right now is very, very cool. We gotta talk about it.
Okay, but there's let me continue because I want to stop at a point here because this is where it gets really powerful. Is if you think about that what is really happening if a new light comes in and an old light goes out, because that's what's happening, a new light comes in and the old one goes up. Okay, so the old one goes up. It says there's an istalkus of the light that exists in the world. It's istalkus. What does istalkus mean? Histalkus doesn't mean that it's died or it went away. It went up. It went up to a place of not having...
Opposite of death.
Exactly. It went up to a spiritual place, and it's not invested in the container of this physical world. That's what it means when the light goes up. There's an istalkus. So when it says like someone passes away, there's an istalkus. What does that mean? Their neshama went up, and now they're not limited by the physical body. So they're still there, but they're just not...
This goes back to the mimer that I was talking about, where there's the death that was brought into the world.
From Tumah.
By tzaddikim, they don't have death inside of them.
Exactly.
So therefore, by them, there is no such a thing as death.
And that's why their bodies live forever.
That's why their bodies live forever. Wow, that's cool.
So if there's any stalkus,
Meaning that tzaddikim are on the same level as this is stalkus.
of course, they're the, if you want to say, they're a spiritual.
Embodiment.
Their physical body is spiritually embodied. No, they're physical.
They're the embodiment of what you're saying.
Yeah. So now listen to this. Here's where it becomes real. If you think about that, the head decides everything. If the old light goes up and a new light comes in, that means everyone sitting at this table, hear me now, what's the avodah of Rosh Hashanah? To come up with a new paradigm of life. A new...
That's great.
It's the same thing. That's what he said.
a new belief about God, a new belief about life, a new belief about why I'm here.
It starts from the foundation.
Yeah.
It's a new pair of things.
It's a new paradigm. The new paradigms, what does it depend on? Depends on how committed we are to the relationship of what we're here for. When I say the relationship of what we're here for, obviously we know that the soul came down to the world, it's on a mission. It's a mission, it comes in a physical form, whatever your physical form is, whatever it takes on, it comes with your parents, it comes with your siblings, your life, the amount of money your parents had, the type of upbringing, the school that you went to, the friends that you made, the decisions that you made growing up, or the decisions that were made for you. It comes with all of that. It's all part of that. And now we got to, in that process, at some point, wake up to this is the form that God gave me in order to take on these challenges. And I got to bring more connection to godliness in the limited form, which shows ultimately that everything traces back to the one infinite God. That's what we're trying to do. We're saying that God is not limited because it doesn't matter what my challenges are. To prove that God's not limited, it means I have to realize it doesn't matter what my challenges are, that what's happening every Rosh Hashanah is I'm creating a new paradigm for how I'm showing up to this.
Okay, how do I do that?
Okay, fine. So we're going to get there.
Doesn't God do that in general? Because on Rosh Hashanah night, he removes himself from the world.
Yeah, we said that.
So okay, go on.
So by definition, there's a new light that comes into the world.
Ah.
And the fact that he's removing himself from the world.
Okay, good point. That's what Adam said.
So what?
Meaning, it's almost like he's modeling what
We
we
said
need to
we
do.
bring a new light, not
So
God
so
brings a new light.
every person
Both, right?
every person
Yeah.
is a world in his own, in himself. Because if I'm representing, if I'm holding the infinite light of God inside of me, that means I am part of the infinite expression. Now, the question isn't whether God's doing his part. The question is, how am I showing up to that system of experience? Because if on Rosh Hashanah I show up and it's a shit show for me, and then I wonder why I had a shit show of a year, well, we can trace it back to where my head was, where the head of my year, where the beginning of where all life flows from is Rosh Hashanah. Why Rosh Hashanah? Because we're matching the vibration of creation. Rosh Hashanah was the first day that man was created. Right? Man was created on Rosh Hashanah. Chafei Elul, the world was created, which is this Shabbos. And then man was created on the sixth day of creation, which is Rosh Hashanah. So we are energetically re-experiencing that time that Adam Harishon was created, and within our own story of our own lives, every year we get to tap into that new energy again. That's what's happening. So new paradigms, I have a possibility of creating a new paradigm.
How do we tap into
No. Don't get ahead of yourself. You got to sit with it for a little bit. So then he goes into a little bit of a side tangent which is connected. Okay? The Alter Rebbe goes into a little bit of a side tangent over here, but he says like this. What does the new light depend on? The new light coming down to the world? Well, it depends on our actions. It depends on our level of commitment to Torah mitzvahs. And it is said that, and we're going to get, what's the main idea of Rosh Hashanah? Does anyone know, like, what we're supposed to do on Rosh Hashanah? What is the whole process of Rosh Hashanah? Coronating the king, right, good. So coronating the king means what, now he's going to go into this idea of what does it mean to be a king? What is the idea of a king? What is kingship? So it says, Malchuscha, Malchus.
I think we need to sing a song first.
Okay.
It's just love.
No, really, what's the fun?
Love through love.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Michael, just
Say it.
Michael, just say it. Don't.
There's nothing to fucking say. I laughed it up. That was my expression.
I'm very certain that it wasn't.
I think there is a.
I know that there's something more there.
If there wasn't, I forgot it.
Well, stop forgetting things, bro.
I forgot it.
You need to breathe into it.
I wanted to forget things.
Good to use. Almost like makes you forget. So, you gonna sleep?
Okay, gotta get into it.
Doesn't change an hour, please.
You're literally living your life. You're going away on vacation. Amazing nap. Have a blast. Your boys. You go back. Great naps. Your wife. What was just good to you?
Just saying, we'll sing this niggin. There's a lot of ground to cover. And I want to try to cover as much as possible, but I'm with you guys wherever you direct me. This is a co-created experience. Didiya ma 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 oi lida ya 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 ma ma oi didiya ma 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 oi lida la da ya la di la ma 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 ma. Oh la 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 la. Ay 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 ay. One is me. Nachman, pass the sage.
Maybe we should raise it.
Om Namaste Yadecha. Yanu Mecho Yato Elokeinu Anu Lanecho Yato Avinu Yanu Lanecho Yato Elokeinu Anu So to come back, welcome. Absolutely. So what was the Chadshus? What was the new beginning that was created on Rosh Hashanah and is recreated every single year? It's called a Chiddush, a newness of the revelation of the kingship of God Himself. That's a newness of the revelation of the kingship of God Himself. What that means, well, first of all, how does that get achieved? By blowing the shofar. It depends on, the newness depends on, the idea of the world being recreated depends on our actions. Why does it depend on our actions is what he's going to get into now.
About to say about Malchus.
So, it says, where can you find God? Well, it goes into this thing. It says, where can you find God? And there's a connection of shofar to Aser Semei Tshuva, and then where can you find God? In the Aser Semei Tshuva. Why are they called Aser Semei Tshuva? Well, first he says, in order to understand that, we go into Malchus Kol Elamim. That's a pasuk that we say, or that's a verse that we say every. It's in Tehillim, but we say it every day in Ashrei. And it says Olamim Lashon Helam. What's Helam? Olam, which is the idea of world, comes from the root word of hiddenness. Shekoidem his havos ha'ilam is hayahu ishmai bilvad. What existed before creation? Him and His name alone. Him and His name alone. Let's look into that a little bit. This is next level. So
It takes too long to get to the point. You gotta get to it quickly.
Nachman.
You can't keep us in suspense.
So I love you, but you got to keep your mouth shut, just for a little bit, just because you're interrupting the flow, and I know you want to get to the point because you're like a little child that just is excited.
Don't use Marina's words.
Is excited. No, you're excited. You can't wait to get to the thing, but that's why we put chicken in front of you. So just enjoy the chicken. And Mac, you enjoy the show. Before creation, there was just Him and His name. What does that mean, there was just Him and His name? What does it mean to say it was just Him and His name? Hu u'shmoi b'vadei. What is a name? A name is if I say, hey, Michael, or hey, Jack, or hey, Ellie, or hey, Danny, like whoever I'm going to say their name. What am I saying their name for? I'm saying their name because if I wasn't on an island alone, there would be no reason for name, because a name is a way of calling out to someone. It's having a relationship with somebody else. That's the image that I show to the world. So that is what I'm known as. That's my name. Now, if God's alone, what's the reason for a name? Why is there a name? This we're talking about before creation. It says, Hu u'shmoil bilvadai. Hu u'shmoil bilvad. It's just Him and His name. So now I'm going to take you on a little trip, if you'll stay with me. This is a very deep concept. But you can experience things by yourself. You can experience things by yourself. You can experience things by yourself. But you can't experience malchus by yourself. You can't experience kingship. Why? Because it says, Ein melech b'loi am. It says there is no king without a nation. So you cannot experience being a king on your own. Why? Because malchus is femininity. Malchus is relationship. You can't learn about it in a book. It's something you have to experience. A relationship is like, if it was just me by myself, and I'm learning about relationship through a book, and I'm never doing anything, that's not called relationship. So I can't experience relationship from a book. I can't experience relationship by myself. Whoa, okay, good questions, very good questions. Follow the progression. We're going to get somewhere here.
Yeah. If it's not a question, you're saying
Hashem doesn't need Jesus. Hashem doesn't need anything.
Okay, but your question is a little bit deeper than what you think. But the first step is you exist. That we have to know. I exist. I'm in existence. How do I know I exist? Because Ein melech b'lo am. If I am going out and making God king, that means it depends on me. It depends on the relationship. So
But he can't be a king if you're not his subject.
exactly, there's no such thing as
The relationship
kingship.
is just
There's no such thing as God is a king, because if he's a king, it necessitates the creation of other. So when a person says, I'm everything and anything, and everything was created for me, that's the opposite of Malchus, which we see today is where the leadership of the world is going, is look at me and putting other people down because I'm everything. That's not called Malchus, that's called narcissism. There's no room for you. The opposite of Malchus. Malchus, by definition, means Ein Melech B'lo Yam. What does that mean? There's no king that exists without the nation that is serving the king. So if there's no nation serving the king, which means if there's no shofar blown on Rosh Hashanah, there's no world. Because what did world start? World was the beginning of the revelation of the desire for relationship. When you say we are crowning God as king, what does it mean to be king? King means that God is saying, I want a relationship with you. He's not saying, I want to be a king over you, and you're my subjects, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and this is how you're going to do it. He's saying, here, I'm making myself vulnerable. I'm putting it out there. I want a relationship. This is the way you do it. You got to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. You don't blow the shofar. There's no desire for a relationship. I'm out of this world. I'm leaving the world.
it's actually humble.
It's the ultimate form of humility, is giving yourself over to the fact that I can't do it alone, by myself, with myself, because that is not what I want. That's not what I truly want. Now, why? How could we understand it? Well, we can't, because they say, Oif a taiva is kinkasha. On a taiva, can we ask a question, why did God create the world? He created the world because of a desire, a want. When you create out of a want, you can't develop it into a reason all of a sudden. You can't start to make sense of it. It doesn't make sense. Because what does God need? If we're going to say God is vulnerable and he needs something, we're going to say he's almost like human, like that's a little bit weak. That's the way we look at vulnerability. But it comes from a deeper place, a place that we have to go to that says, I just want you, and there's no reason. And that's the ultimate place of all relationship, if you think about it. If you're thinking about any relationship in your life, think about any relationship in your life. Anything that you ever go through in those relationships, whether it be with your wife or with your kids or with your parents, the one necessitation of the connection is that I want it, because I will be willing to go through anything and everything if I want the relationship. If I don't want it, and then my want withdraws, then I'm going to be met with what type of experience? I'm going to be met with an experience that comes into the realm of logic and sense, and how things are adding up, and the limits, how you show up, conditions. It's conditional. Our relationship is dependent upon you showing up this way. So all relationship, to begin, has to come from a place which God is teaching us, because that's how the world was created. So matching the vibration of all relationships is, do you want it? Because it doesn't make sense for God to want it, because he doesn't have a need for us. There's no need for us. He's making himself have a need to say, I want you. Like God needs to reveal himself as king. He needs to make that process happen. That's what he needs. It's a want. It comes from a much deeper place. So when it says that God really is a melech, he's really a king, what he's saying is, I want a relationship with you. Do you want a relationship with me? Do you want a relationship with me? Now, so what's a name? A name, Hashem, when I call out to you, when I say Michael, or to call it to God, a name is the idea of a relationship. So it's a relationship. Interesting. So how come it says, Hu u'shmoi bilvad? How come he was there by himself alone with his name? What does that mean? What it means is that he was alone, and there was this idea of a name. And what that kind of means is that if he was there alone with his name, it means that we were there too. It means we were always there. It means we were there too.
Why?
Because if it's saying him and his name were alone, that means that you can trace everything in the world that exists today, which looks like multiplicity in different parts, back to the infinite oneness. Because it never wasn't connected. We're not a new thing that was created out of nowhere. We are part of the original experience of oneness with name, because name means relationship. It was just experienced together with him. And there was no separation. The separation made an experience that exists right now, what we're experiencing today, which was called, and we say it in Kabbalistic terms, it's called Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means there was a separation where the perception now is that we were separated from God, and we are separated, and there's something new outside of him, and we can't understand how we could be one and he could be infinite, because we see so many different parts and limits, and that's the way we relate to the world. So what changed from pre-Tzimtzum, where it was everything existed as one, is to the multiplicity of parts, which look like it's not one anymore, and the job is to come back to the place of pre-Tzimtzum, which is being in relationship, where we're always a part of, which is why that's where source is, that's who we really are, and that's what we represent, and that's why we're here on a godly mission. So it's a little bit of an idea that you could sit with and sit with and sit with and go deeper and deeper, and there's a lot to be said about it. But what it really means is everything from creation can be traced back to infinity. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because it was always there. It was never not there. Which means what's infinite means that you would say that something outside of him was created, or something new was created that was never there. So then it's not infinite.
But in what form were we pre?
Oneness. It's just called oneness.
Like a mother and a child? Like a mother and
Let's
a
say
fetus?
let's say
Like we're in a womb?
let's say that's where. So when we're talking about how creation existed before, we experience it actually in this world. So when the soul comes down into the body, it comes down as one and then enters a place of individuation where it comes out of the oneness, separated, and that's the whole process of life. And then we go back to oneness where we're buried into the ground and our soul goes back to the place where it came before.
That there are non-Hindu nishamas, that it's every nishama is fragmented more and more.
Yeah, that's also the idea, and we know that. But I'm saying, even the concept of a neshama, even the concept of anything that exists today, was always there. It was never not there.
It says Hashem created the world in 7 days, but then say that it continued afterwards. Everything was created in those 7 days.
Yeah, but what the question is, were things really created? And what he's saying here is the only creation that really happened was called Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum was the only idea of creation, which Tzimtzum said, I'm going to remove the experience of me, God himself, and I'm going to put it in like little forms so people aren't aware of it, and then they can come back to this idea of me again, which is the idea of relationship. I'm going to push myself away from you, and then you're going to have to come back to me. When the mother pushes the baby out of the womb, it's a certain rejection. We don't want to come. It says, Al karchacha tachai. It says, against your will, you were put into the world. You don't want to be here. Nobody wants to be here. This is not the natural state of the human being. It's not the natural state of a yid. I want to be connected and be in pure dveikus. I want to have pure oneness and pure connection to God at all times, at all moments. That's the natural. That's the natural state of who I am. In order for it not to be the state, there had to be a tremendous, so to speak, removal of the infinite oneness energy that is so awesomely powerful in order for that not to exist. What was it for? It was the desire for real relationship. I want a relationship, because you can't have a relationship when we're together. We're stuck together. It says at the beginning of time, when Adam and Chava were created, that they were created together, back to back. They were connected, and then God split them. And so they were always connected. They always had a relationship. But think about a relationship where Adam and Chava existed, and they were back to back. So they were connected. Let's say he was washing the dishes, she was connected to him, or vice versa. Or he was going and taking the dog for a walk, and she was there with him, because they were connected. They were always there. But what happens when you split it when you split them in half, now they can have more of an intimate relationship where they can see each other eye to eye, because before they couldn't. So that's how you compare the idea of a relationship with God, is we didn't experience Him, we were connected to Him, but we didn't get the intimate experience of what He's looking for, and that's why He created the world. So,
To answer the famous question all over the internet is, God needs us.
yeah, God needs us
Because
in that sense. But I would say it like this: God needs us, but the need that He has for us was a creation by Him. He created a need for us. And it came from, meaning, in order for world to exist, in order for Him to be a king, He put Himself out of power and put the decision in our hands. So He made Himself need us, but it came originally from a want, a desire, a ratzon, a taiva. So I had this taiva, or God had this taiva, created world, and put everything that He needs us. How does He need us? Because creation doesn't exist and we don't blow the shofar. That's how He needs us. But He created that need. You understand what I'm saying to you?
He wants us to want Him.
it's a great song, by the way.
But,
I want you to want me.
what?
There's a song, I want you to want me. It's a great song. But
Meaning, when we come to a place where our relationship is want, not need. With my wife, with everybody, it's just want. There's no need. And there's no attachment. There's no, it's just pure.
I see what you're saying.
That sounds so neat.
If I need something, driven by that.
I need you to listen to me, I need you to see
It's
me.
a want, right? It's not.
Then it's not a real relationship because I'm serving you in some way. What if I just want to be in a relationship with you, not because you're funny, not because of anything, just
Right, like you need a cigarette, you need a drink.
So what is...
God, you want God.
So I'm gonna take a stab at this, and I've heard this from some peers of mine, people that I looked up to, that define it in this way. I think is a very appropriate way that becomes relatable. How do we make this message relatable?
You want a drink, you have a drink now, you don't need a drink.
right.
The way we make this message relatable is like this. What's the chiddush of creation? What's the newness of creation, before world to after world? Is that reality should be defined from the perspective of tzimtzum. What is tzimtzum? I'm going to throw it out there and say that tzimtzum means trauma. So God traumatized Himself. What does it mean that He traumatized Himself? It means that He put Himself into a process where He came out looking different. Different than He used to look. The all-loving, glorified oneness and connection that we had. He put Himself through a process where He's going to become disconnected from us. What's trauma? Trauma is the idea of disconnection from ourselves. At some point in time, in order to match the vibration of creation, just the way God traumatized Himself, where He removed Himself and He wasn't the same in our eyes the way He was before, we all go through the story of life where we're going to get traumatized. We have to. It's part of the process of creation of this world. If we don't get traumatized, then we're not really here.
Or maybe that's Mashiach.
Well, the people that don't get traumatized are the tzaddikim of the world, because they stay always in full alignment, knowing the truth from beginning to end. But we all go through the same process that God put Himself through. Is I'm going into this process, and I'm not going to look the same. It's not going to be the same. Things are going to get challenged. There's going to be pain. There's going to be hurt. There's going to be anger. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be fear. And I'm with you in that. I don't want it this way, but I want something more for us. I want to be able to go through stuff together and to be able to come back and say, nothing can touch that love. It really is unconditional. It doesn't matter what form it meets. It doesn't matter the deck of cards that you got in your own life. I love you, no matter what. That's what Rosh Hashanah is. Rosh Hashanah is because according to God, it says, L'gabe Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ein Sham Shinui, there was no change. It never changed for me. That's what he's saying. It never changed for me. I still love you. I still am desiring that relationship. I still want it. We're still in this together. That same reality that existed, Hu Shmoi Bilvade, which Hu Shmoi Bilvad was him and his name alone, is the idea of, I want it the same way, but I want it more meaningful. I want to show that our love is unboundless by putting yourself into a bound form. The way to express the unlimited connection to God is throwing it into a limit. Isn't that crazy?
What do you mean by a limit?
You're limited. You got conditions. Your bank account's not full. Your kid is triggering you. Your wife is telling you off for doing nothing. Your boss had a bad day, so he takes it out on you. And you have to say that this is God's world and say that that was a godly experience. You have to do that. You have to go through that. You have to show up to life like that. That's the limit he put on relationship. He put it into our hands of how the world works. He gave over the limits. He's like, I'm taking myself out of controlling the situation. What did he do it for? Ein melech b'lo yam. I want a relationship with you. I want a relationship with you. Everything that you're experiencing, everything that you are experiencing in your life today, no matter what it is godly, and it's God's attempt to have a relationship with you that's unconditional.
He wants us to get to that level where we see that, where all the shit that we're going through.
I think what Adam is saying is, if you look at it, everything is about God. Meaning, even the most impure person, it's always about relationship. We always come back to relationship, which is some sort of reflection of God. They're just not knowing how to channel that energy. But really, it's sort of mirroring that relationship of God. Right, Adam? Yeah.
You're both saying good. It's both connected to the point that I'm saying. And when it comes to God, there is no change from before creation to after creation. What that means is that's the most healing statement in the world, because it's saying that you can always come back to, no matter what limits or what challenges you have, or what, like if you think you're going to die, if you think you're not going to be able to support your family, if you have fear of a challenge that you're facing that you think is too much and the world's not going to be able to accept it, you could always trace back your existence to that place of being connected to that infinite consciousness, which can face and overcome anything because it's unconditional. It can never meet a condition. The mere fact is that the way I'm perceiving and experiencing it feels really limited because the world was created. And it's really grinding me and squeezing me and forcing me to feel and forcing me to go into the depths, which he's going to get to later. But it says, "Mimamakim krasich Hashem." From the depths I call you. What is the depths? When I'm squeezed, when I'm not feeling so good, when I'm being torn apart, when people are coming at me, when I'm feeling like I can't do this anymore. Yeah. That's the Tehillim we say every single day of the Seres Mitzvah.
Hashem is the ultimate space holder.
Yeah.
Always just holding space. He said, okay, you want to mess around? Okay, no problem. Whenever you're done, I'll still
It's
be
as
here.
if he wasn't feeling appreciated, and he wanted to kick us out of the palace. And he's like, now fend for yourself, but I'm still here. Know where you come from. You're going to be covered in all this layer after layer.
I hear that, but I would take it in a way, in a more positive twist, because he didn't kick us out of the palace because he thinks we didn't appreciate him. He kicked us out of the palace because he wanted to have a relationship that we can feel the appreciation for him.
I think it's even more than that. I think what Hashem is not saying is, what Hashem is really saying is, I believe in you. I believe in you. Because I put you in there. I put you in October 7th. I know, I believe even the craziest thing in the world, you'll still believe in me.
So this tzimtzum is the moment that God became, here's where it is. God became defined. He went into the level of name, where you can call a name to him, an image. Now, the contemporary example of that today is that I could trace back my entire whole life, my whole life paradigm, back to the original story that I've been telling myself since the day that I was defined, since the day that the world put limits on me, since the day that the world traumatized me, since the day that the story that I tell myself every single day of how I define my life, of who I think I am. And that story is actually how I experience reality. Because L'gabe HaKadosh Baruch Hu ein sham shinui, according to God, there are no limits. There's no limits. Even though there was a limit, there was a limit that was placed on him. There are no limits. There's not a real limit. The moment that you put a limit on yourself, for whatever you think you are, for whatever the world has told you, or how your life played out, the experiences that you had, that's not a true limit. By definition, it is not a true limit. For example, let's say at some point in time I learned that I don't deserve to be loved, and that's a real story for me. It's a story that I carried for a long time.
By the way, the world never told you anything. Meaning you were the one that told yourself that.
I mean, maybe the world actually did tell me that.
I'll tell you why. Because if you believe that you were the one that told yourself that, then you could change it.
Of course. But if somebody else told me it, I could also change it as well. Because it was somebody else that told me it. It wasn't me. So it actually makes it more connected to being able to change it when it was someone else that told me it. They put the limit on me. It wasn't me that put the limit on me. It's what I told myself after they told me that. Because first, the world created the story that I have, and then I told it to myself. I mean, it's never just me coming up. I don't get born and say I'm a loser and I'm not lovable. I experience something.
It starts off as someone.
Yeah, I'm wounded in relationship. So let's say, for example, I have this story about myself, which is true for me. Like I said, is I don't deserve to be loved. This is a story that I carried. It's not anything necessarily that my parents did bad. It's not something that I had to experience that was bad to me. It could just be that my parents didn't have the capacity to show me the love that was catered and attuned to what I needed as a kid. And in order for a parent to fully show up, they have to be fully attuned to themselves and to be able to be fully attuned to their kids. Because you have to know what that means. You can't just embody something that you don't know anything about, you haven't experienced yourself. So what happens is that this is how I actually experience reality. I start going around the world, looking for love, because if I don't deserve to be loved and I don't want to admit that story to myself, I have to go out and search for love to not hurt that wound. So I look for love, and I'm actually going to do it in places that might not be the best places because I'm desperate for it. I'm desperate not to meet that own story, although I'm unconsciously acting out of that story because that's my belief about myself. And I probably don't even realize when that happened, and I probably don't even realize how far it went back. And I end up just living from that place. And then your wife comes to you and she's trying to give you love. And what do? Well, guess what? I'm going to reject everything. I'm going to reject everything that she's trying to do with all sorts of excuses. Oh, she's not doing it the right way. Or I'm not really attracted to her. Or whatever excuse I'm going to come up with just because I have this internal belief system that says I don't deserve to be loved. And the best redemption for that person is the moment that they could become aware of this. Because the moment I can become aware of this and I realize that that's my belief system, well, that's flowing to the rest of the organs of my body. That's flowing to what I'm attracting in my life. And that's called Rosh Hashanah. What's Rosh Hashanah? That's the head. The head is the consciousness of how I'm living my entire life. What consciousness is my head involved in? So my whole life has played through this very narrowing, constricted, limited, symptom type of way. Where this is the way I experience life, and this is the only thing I believe and know. And we're purposely put into that. We are purposely going to get traumatized. We are purposely going to go through a place where we're going to have these negative beliefs about who we are and these limiting beliefs. That is the process of life, because God did it to himself. Therefore, in order for us to understand God, we have to understand our own trauma. What?
Even after you recognize it yourself, you're still gonna go through this trauma.
Yeah, because that's going to be the ultimate proof that the relationship is not limited. It,
This is crazy.
He did it to himself because he said, I'm going to change the way I've been experiencing Hu Ushmoy Bilvad. I'm no longer going to be in a closet on my own.
Because if you never got
So he came out of the
traumatized,
closet.
meaning if a guy
Yeah,
got traumatized,
exactly.
it makes you stronger.
Or he kicked us out of the closet that he was in.
And Hashem's going to say, I'm going to show you. You can do it. Because I'm going to do it. And you know what? I'll even show you in the physical form. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they did it also. They were traumatized. They did it too. And they went through it. And Yosef and David and Yaakov and the Baal Shem Tov and they all went through it. So you could do it too. Crazy.
Now, if I start living, identifying with the Tzimtzum, what happens is, and I might not be able to change it.
Hashem's not asking us
Meaning,
anything more than what he did himself.
Exactly. Can you change the fact that someone was molested? Can you change the fact that someone was abused or someone's parents passed away? Or whatever the crazy stuff, you can't change that. You can't change the trauma that you went through. But you can be aware. And if you're aware, well, then the next time things happen, you can start recognizing, well, how am I showing up to the current moment is based on something that's holding me back in my past. And what we start to have redemption from is the tzimtzum mentality, is the limited consciousness of what we see and what we experience is what the reality of life is. And the ultimate idea of trauma is the idea of separateness. There was no change. There is no change. Now, if I can know that and recognize that all Hashem did was create this world where it really, really feels like it, and it is, it's real, we have to feel through it. That's how we access Him. It says, Beru'usa deliba. Iyu beru'usa deliba. Where do you access Him? In the depths of your heart. Where do you get to the depths of your heart? When you're squeezed and broken and you're crying out from the deepest place, unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, the idea of going into the depths and really feeling into the pain of life is where you access God the most. It seems like the opposite. It should be like in the most loving, amazing. No, it's Ru'usa Deliba. How do you access Ru'usa Deliba? Mimamakim, from the depths. Mina Meitzar, in the limits, when you feel the limits of existence. Because the feeling of separateness is what you're really feeling. Everything comes back to the feeling of separateness because we were once connected.
Which awakens a desire.
And why would someone go through pain? Why would someone go through suffering? If someone goes through pain and they go through suffering, okay? They go through it. Why do they do that? Meaning this is the way life is. Why do you have to be in pain about it? You just accept that this is the way life is. You can't accept it because you know that there was a you before all this happened. You know it deep inside of you. It's what pushes you to feel through that to get to the other side, because suffering is all an attempt for a person to go back to wholeness. That's all it is.
That's insane. The fact that someone's suffering means he believes that he could be better.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't suffer.
Otherwise, then why are you suffering? Wow.
That is a suffering. Also the belief that
You're
better
suffering
is a
because
suffering.
you know there's a better way.
But that also is a suffering.
What do you mean?
Believing that you can be something better, not being.
Well, see, say
Not being happy with who you are is also part of the suffering.
That's a different type of suffering. Right. What we're saying is the reason why you're suffering is because you know that you're better than this.
You have greater potential.
Meaning you felt it once. You've had that moment.
That's why the soul's never happy.
And if the beginning of all redemption is redemption from the limiting consciousness of what you believe about the world, what you believe about God, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about your wife, what you believe about your kids, that's the beginning. Now you just have to have the courage to face and go through all the traumas that you're dealing with. Because if you can go through trauma, you can go through anything. You can go through anything. And going through that trauma allows you to go through all the other traumas, and it gives you a sense of direction. At some point, we all wake up. We do. And if it's not in this life, it's in the next. But we all wake up to the fact that the trauma is there as an attempt to take us away from who we really are and that connection. And then when we come back from it, holy, because that's what life's all about. It's about rekindling that relationship that was always there with ourselves, with God, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. Chaim. So the most liberating thing you can do for a person is bring them to a place where they believe there was no change, that nothing ever changed no matter what I experienced. I was always there in all of it, that infinite me, the one that loves life, that has unconditional love. I know it feels like he was taken away when he got divorced, when he lost his job, when he had health concerns, whatever he's dealing with, whatever the guy's dealing with in his life, nothing can take him away from who he is, because it's telling you that every Rosh Hashanah, it's bringing us back to that original point that says, there was something before this. There was just me and you. And the question is, how do you relate to that message? Is it a concept? Is it a philosophical concept? Is it an idea? Because God's saying it's the reality. Now, maybe all I got to do is catch up to that message. Maybe life's whole mission is catching up to that message and being dedicated to doing that. But pain seems so infinite also, because pain is guiding us back to our infinite source. If we can get through the pain, which we think never ends and ultimately limits us, it's showing us a way back to our infinite self. Pain is the highest vibration of matching the infinite experience.
Say that again.
I don't even know what I just said.
Pain
Pain is...
vibration of matching.
Pain feels like it's never going to end. Pain feels like a definition. It hurts so much. It feels like a tattoo. It feels like an imprint.
Pain and trauma is the same thing, you're saying.
So if I'm experiencing pain in such an infinite way, it's showing me where's the infinite me behind the pain. It's pointing me in that direction. That's why it feels like it's my whole existence. Which it is, because the whole existence came from pain, which was trauma, which was God limiting himself, which was him removing himself and saying, there is no me anymore, go figure this out on your own.
It's so fucked because pain is always, it's fucking never goes away, but pleasure is so short. Isn't that fucked?
Yep.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate pleasure, I don't want to go there, but is a few seconds. And pain is just fucking just everlasting.
It's like,
So that's, maybe it's trying to tell us something.
So if you do, so let's put it this way: if you don't confront the pain in your life, you haven't started life yet. Because real life starts through pain. If you don't, then you deny God. If you make it, when people say to me, and I've heard this before, yeah, I had the perfect childhood, I had the perfect life, everything was good. I just can't seem to face this challenge in my life right now. Like, I'm not sure why it's happening, but I'm telling you right now, I had the perfect upbringing. The moment that you can confront the pain that you have, is the moment that you're realizing that you were born, is the moment that you are embracing God for what He's trying to do here. But if you can't say that there was pain, you deny God. If you can't confront the pain that you have, because we all have pain. What's the pain? The pain of separateness. We were separated from God. We were separated from our parents. We're separated from the infinite love. If you're saying that you never met that yet, and it was all love until now, you shouldn't be having any challenges in your life. You should not be having any challenges. There is no reason for you, because you feel that love, and it's embodying every fiber of your being. So a person that is experiencing life on the same wavelength as God, the same frequency, is saying that there's pain, there's tzimtzum, there's trauma, and therefore you're embracing God in a much deeper level. You're seeing the process of life. You're appreciating the process of life. And a yid, what does a yid do? Someone asked me today, what?
Having pain is good. It means you're going through these pains and experiences.
You're appreciating the process of creation, yes. Someone asked me today, she says to me, I was in a training that I was doing, and she said to me, do you have any rituals around protection? Like, there's certain rituals that people have around protection, like they say certain things to themselves, or they do certain things, or they have crystals, whatever nonsense. To be protected from like the world's stuff, so to speak. So he said, yeah. So the first thing we do in the morning is I say Moed Ani. And what Moed Ani says is I acknowledge that life is a blessing. Every single morning I say that, and I breathe into it, and I feel it. Because I know that how I start my day is how I finish my day. And the acknowledgement that life is a gift and that I'm here and that I came back is a beautiful gift that guards my day because it guards my consciousness. Then I don't get out of my bed until I wash my hands, until I purify myself. And then I go direct, and I don't go on any social media platforms, whatever. I go right to shul, and then when I get to shul, I daven, and then when I daven, I put on my talis, and it says you wrap yourself with a talis because that's representing God is guarding you the entire day. So when you wear your talis, you're feeling God's presence surrounding your existence. And I was going into all these things. She's like, holy! I was like, I think that's more than enough. Like, it's like, yeah. The Jews know how to do it. We know how to do it good.
Wow.
So we come down into the world, we recognize there's pain, and we're going through this process of the motions of embodying each part of my existence. Each limb has a mitzvah. Every limb in our body has a mitzvah that's associated to. Every single limb. And that's why it's saying that each limb is a varim d'malka. What's a varim d'malka? It says that we have our limbs that are the limbs of the king. What does that mean? They're the limbs of the king. If we go back to what king means, is every single part of my body I use as a form of connecting to you. And every single body part, and they say there's 365 negative commandments, and then there's 365 sinews in the body, those connection pieces, and there's 248 positive commandments, and there's 248 organs in the body. So we have the mitzvahs lining up with the different organs in the body, which says, I want to use this part of my body as a relationship with you because I know the divine mission, which was to create and to have a relationship with you. Are we getting some downloads, guys? So now, a revelation of other necessitated darkness, because in order to have other, that means it can't be all light, it can't be all good. So when you think about it, like I said, if you're meeting pain, if you're meeting hardship, if you're meeting suffering, trauma, you're meeting God in a place where, as we spoke about last week with the story of the Chelm guys, is we got to start looking at we've got to start confronting the darkness. We've got to start confronting the separateness. If you could ultimately feel separated from the king, then you can ultimately feel the desire to be back in relationship. and knowing why he did it. So Rosh Hashanah represents energetically a time that we have to reflect. I have to go a little bit internal. Rosh Hashanah is a very quiet day. There's a lot of people, they don't talk on Rosh Hashanah. There's no talking. And in fact, when we hear the shofar from the brachas until after Musaf, there's a total of 100 blasts. We don't talk. Those 100 blasts then trickle into the year, like every day we say 100 brachas. Whatever, there's different codes and hints of it. Schach is the same gematria, trickles into Sukkot because Schach is Samach Chav Chav, which is 100, so it's representing, Schach represents the 100. Those 100 blasts are just like, it's a deep day. It's a day of just focusing on something more than words. It's about going back to the beginning. It's about rebooting the whole system. That's what Rosh Hashanah is. It's about downloading a new light, saying, the light, you might have had a good year, you might feel like you're growing, and I want to let go of all that and let something new come in. I want the expansion pack. I want to go deeper in this relationship. So why is it called Judgment Day? Why is it called Judgment Day? And Judgment Day is not about God judging us. It's about us looking at our own lives and saying, how am I showing up to this relationship? I'm judging myself. I'm looking at my own life. I'm putting things into perspective. And for a lot of people, and I'm speaking to a lot of people right now, I'm telling you right now, I'm speaking to the whole world, because for a lot of people, people feel like it's such a burden. The day is such a burden. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it's so heavy, it's so intense. Yom Adin, who needs that in their lives? And you know what's really happening there? I'm going to tell you what's really happening. Here's the secret. The secret of all of life is, for most people, it's hard to go back to the beginning and face it. It's hard to go back to the beginning where life became limited, where I feel stuck. And I just want to move forward. I don't want to go back to the beginning. So for a lot of people, that idea of judgment feels heavy because they don't want to go back to the beginning in their own lives. They don't want to face the moment they were traumatized, they were hurt. And we don't want to have to justify how much we've done this year. We don't want to have to justify it. You guys with me over here? But how do we get real in relationship? We got to judge. If you can't judge where you're at in relationship, how can you get real in relationship? So relationship necessitates judgment. Every year I got to go back to the beginning and I got to say, where am I at? That's the idea of Vayeka. Right? When Adam Harishon was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, Adam was kicked out of Eden. What did he say? Hashem said Ayeka, like he didn't know where he was. Of course he knew where he was. Where are you after you've been kicked out of the infinite consciousness of oneness and being in relationship with me? And we're all asking ourselves that. First portion, Bereshis comes. After Rosh Hashanah, after all the holidays, says Ayeka, where are you? Where is your relationship at? After, Tishrei is this, for some people, it's like it goes through this like heaviness and progression of heaviness until Yom Kippur, and then we sort of dive into happiness and we feel good about life, and then we're done everything. It's like, where are you now? Where do you hold? So when you were kicked out of the womb, where do you hold? When you experienced a tough year financially, where do you hold? When you got Challenges with your kids. Where do you hold? Where are you? What it says about in Rosh Hashanah is there's a Kabbalistic saying. It says, Bereish Herminusa de Malka. Does anyone know what that means? Bereish Herminusa de Malka.
The head, the resh, or the beginning.
The beginning. Herminusa de Malka.
This is the uplifting, the rise of the king, maybe the wonders. I don't know.
In the beginning of the desire to be a king.
Desire.
All of creation comes from the original desire to be a king. What's the original desire to be a king? It's the most vulnerable day in the world for God. It's the most vulnerable day in the world for God because the day he left his infinity to say, I need you.
Is the day he left to say, I don't want to be king anymore?
No. He only became king when he left his infinity by creating world because, as we were saying before, there's no king without a nation. It's the moment he put his whole life on the line, so to speak, into our hands. Saying, I'm getting vulnerable. I'm giving you over everything. I'm giving you over a book. I'm removing myself. It's going to be on you. It's called free choice. Why is it free choice? Because I'm not influencing you. It's the ultimate facilitation. I'm letting you go through it on your own. I'm here. I know you can't see me. There's this thing called klipa. It covers me up. There's layers upon layers which don't allow me to be seen. It feels like you came from not me, something else. You can't identify me. We're playing this hide and go seek game your whole life. Are you here? Are you not here? Is he real? Is he not? I'm going to do that. I'm making myself vulnerable. So it's a very, very vulnerable day for God. Because everything's in question. Do you really want the relationship? There's a famous line in relationships in general. We say to someone like, your wife does something. And you're like, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you something. A lot of times, probably your wife doesn't make sense. Let's just say. But relationship's not about making sense. Relationship is about no matter what's coming your way, I want it. So what your wife is really challenging you on, which Malchus is femininity, is your wife is going to bring you into so many different things that you don't want to be a part of to match your relationship with God. Is God brought you into the world, into a place where you don't want to be here, and you got to be present to it, and you got to show up to it. When your wife asks you, what do you want for dinner? Sushi or pizza? And you're just like, I don't care. Yeah. But what if you could just realize that when you want relationship, the details actually do matter. Everything matters. When God tells you, I want you to wash your right side of your body before your left, or I want you to tie your left shoe before your right, he's saying, I want to be involved in every single interaction of your life.
Wow.
It's not stam.
Like I'm here, right here. Is that how it is? Left before the
I'm infinitely involved in your life. I'm infinitely involved in your life. That's the infinite presence. There's no detail. You're not going to find any part of your body, any part of your life, any part of experience where there isn't that idea of what God has to say about your existence. Because he wants to be involved. You know, I remember the story of a guy who was on a plane and he was talking to someone next to him right before the plane takes off. This guy, he's married, and the guy sitting next to him was not married. So the guy that's married, his wife is like, as soon as you land, you better call me. Right? Whatever. So after he hangs up the phone, she said it pretty loud, so the guy next to him says, wow, I feel so bad for you. You know, it's like a slave. Like you can't even live your own life. Like everything that's going on for you. That as soon as you land, you have to call your wife. And the guy turns to him and he says, you know what, I hear what you're saying. And my wife, the way I look at it, is that she really wants to be involved in my life. She really cares to be involved. And so how do I approach mitzvahs myself? How do I approach, do I look at a mitzvah as a burden and I say, oh, I just can't have my own free time and free space, and I really have to put my right shoe on before my left? I really got to get nitty gritty over here? Like, does it really make a damn difference? Or I could say that every single detail, he's there, wanting a relationship, never stopping, infinitely wanting, infinitely waiting.
That's why you have to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
You can't be single.
Can't be single. If you're single, then you're not going to feel it as much.
A relationship is the ultimate reflection.
Ultimate. So the Alter Rebbe goes now into something which is really beautiful. But before we do that, I think the Olam needs a little bit of a niggin or a break. You guys want a little break? We're going to go into a next very deep piece.
What's up, Mark?
I called you, I asked you a question about water.
Whoa. Get a shield here. What are you talking about?
No, it's the barber. He's running the whole way. Johnny.
Just stop.
Johnny.
Relax.
Tony's like, yeah, I really get it, that's for this.
Who's sitting here? Nessie?
Oh, Lord.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. I thought this was good tonight.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Please don't go. It's only getting even better.
It's gotta get better.
Don't take a break.
I gotta go realize like it's been a couple of days.
Hey guys, I'm going to give you.
We don't need a break, we don't need a
I'm
break.
going to give you the key to your Rosh Hashanah this year. I'm going to give it to you. The next part. Woo!
This is the Schneer Zolman of the Yadi. 1700s.
This is 1804.
The Alter Rebbe? No.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I need to go make creepy.
I'm waiting for you. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah,
It's almost like there's this rhythm. That rhythm shows up in everything in life, in relationship, everywhere.
The rhythm of creation. So to go into this next point, I'm going to tell you a story. There's a story. There's a man in the times of the Gemara. And his name was Rebbe Lazar ben Durdaya. For all those that know him, you can go check out the Masechtes Avodah Zarah.
Ask you one question.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you could say this story, but in a meditation way?
Yes, after the story, I'll say a meditation.
Oh yeah.
Done deal.
Yeah, that's actually great.
Okay, fine. So Rebbe Lazar ben Durdaya, this guy was known that he had more relations than any man on the planet beyond. And he came to, oh, I gotta read it. He came to, just reset it. So he comes to, he heard about this one far off prostitute that lived out in a far off place, and she was the most sought after prostitute that existed. Like, he had to pay lots of money and for her to be, but you know, he had a mission. I'm gonna do whatever I can do with every woman in the world that he could possibly experience. And so he goes to this woman, and in the middle of having relations with this woman, he farted. It says that he farted. This is in the Gemara. It's a story. It's a real story. And she turns to him and she says, just like that fart left you and stinks, and has no redeeming quality, that describes your whole life. That's what she said to him. And he left, and he felt so ashamed, as if like he can't come back from all the things that he did from tshuva. He left. He went and he put his head between his knees and he cried out the deepest cry that could possibly exist. And in that moment, his soul expired. Rebbe, I don't know if you know who Rebbe was, but Rebbe Yehuda Nasi said and cried at hearing and witnessing this story. And he said, Yesh koine oilamoy b'sha echas. A person can acquire his entire existence in one moment. And that's why he was called Reb Elazar ben Derdai, Reb, because he achieved the purpose of life in that one moment. And what did he do? What actually happened? It says that in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we say every single day, Shir HaMalais, Mimamakim Krasicha Hashem. From the depths do I call for you. What is the depths? First of all, it's in plural. Why is it in plural? Should be from my depth I call to you, but it says depths. Why is it plural? Well, it's very intentional. Plural means that when you call from your depths, God meets your vibration in His depths, and you get to experience the depths of Him. So when I go to the depths of my pain, like I had a friend that called me today, he says, I feel sad and hurt and broken. I had a friend, he called me. He's probably sitting at this table, maybe not, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. And I felt connected to him in that moment because I felt like he gave me his depths. What?
What did he say?
He said, there's a lot going on and some crazy stuff's going on in the community and with me and this other person. And I feel very sad, and I literally felt like, hey, thanks for showing me who you are. And I felt connected to him in that moment because he showed me his depth. And isn't that what life is? That when we get vulnerable and we show our depths, that people meet us there?
Yeah.
Isn't that what really happens? So God is telling us, but krasicha Hashem, krasicha, what is krasicha? It means I call to you. Who do you call to? When you call to someone, they're close enough that they can come to you. It means by calling from my depths, I'm bringing them close to me. I'm accessing them. I get to access them. This depth that we go to brings Hashem into His depths. So everyone, stop eating for a second, because we're going to do a meditation. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and I want you to recognize that there's so many layers to who you are, your existence, what you represent. And sometimes we get broken down. We feel like our identity is disintegrating, like we need to reinvent ourselves. And beneath that, there's this scream that we all hold inside. It's not a scream from the mouth, it's a scream from my heart. That the pain is so deep that it takes us all the way to the core. There's no words. Take a deep breath and feel that there's stuff that you hold that if you could just let it out, that your heart is screaming for something in your life. Something that can't be contained by vessels. It's so primal. It's because your very existence has been challenged to the core. And if it could be contained, then it would come with words. But you know, like when there's that like primal scream, where it's like you scream and there's just no sense to it, there's no logic to it. And we can't talk about it too much, because those who know, know. If you know, you know. You know what you're going through, you know the depths of what you're going through, the pain of what you're going through. And it's a cry from this deep squeeze. It's squeezing my existence. And what that what that cry is from, beneath that, there's a question that always comes with that deep, deep squeeze, which is, who am I at my core? Who am I at the core of my existence? Whenever we're being squeezed and we're forced to go to the depths of who we are, it's bringing us into a moment that's saying, Mi mamakim, who am I at my core? And Rebbe Lazar ben Derdaya, he was brought to his darkest moment, where he found the one that he could okay, I've conquered it all. And when he got there, there's nothing there for him, just like she said. And it takes me to a place where it's like, what am I doing here? What am I really doing here? And from that moment, there's this tremendous rebirthing. There's this need to reinvent myself. I can no longer be that same person. When people challenge me to the core, when someone's putting signs all over the city, or whatever's happening in my experience, where someone's saying, you're that guy, someone's trying to come at you and attack you and challenge you, take away from who you really want to be, at that moment it forces me into a squeeze to reinvent myself. I gotta reinvent. I can't do things the way I've been doing things. And so Rebbe said, Yesh koinai lamai b'shayachas. He literally, not just he experienced life in that moment, he encapsulated all of the purpose of existence in that one moment. And his soul expired. He left the world. Because he got the message. And you can't explain it, it's just a feeling, because Ratzon, the idea of connecting to God's Ratzon, is literally going to a place that has to go above explanations. If you have a word for it, then it's camouflaged. You say to someone, why do you want that? Well, why do you want to eat chocolate cake right now? Well, I don't know why I want to eat chocolate cake right now. I'm just hungry and I like chocolate cake. But why do you want to eat chocolate cake right now? And if you keep on asking a person and going deeper and deeper at the core, you can't explain a want. As soon as you explain a want, it's not a real want.
That's what's so hard to put words to our feelings.
Exactly. It's always about the desire. So explanations are limiting it, expression is limiting it. The Ratzon is what comes out as the deepest expressions when all systems break down. I feel like nothing's working. So that's what creates an opportunity from the depths. So when you come to Rosh Hashanah, you're going to the depth of yourself, and you're asking yourself, who am I really? You know what a cry is? Does anyone know what a cry is? A cry is, what do we cry? A cry is when the system can't contain the information in my regular system. My regular system is I can function, I can do things. Crying, they say in the terms of the, I only heard it in a mimer once, it's Moisrei Chochma, it's too much wisdom, it's coming down, it's too overwhelming for the system that I need to cry. I just need to let go. And it's like sometimes we go and we cry and then we feel better after, but nothing changed. Well, why do we feel better? That nothing changed. All we did was cry. Is because in that moment we're meeting is our depths of what we're really going through, which is causing our limited existence. And all of a sudden, we feel like things are possible again. So what if all I do is once in a while let myself go to a little bit of tears? And that's the most primal space of the inner child. That's what an inner child really wants. He wants you to let go to experience and say, I'm struggling. I'm going through a tough time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nachman, do you know that Kukuriku story? What's the Kukuriku story? In the Baal Shem Tov shul, there was a guy, and he came in, and he didn't know how to daven, and all he said was Kukuriku, and everyone was laughing at him.
Right.
And then the Baal Shem Tov said, don't laugh at him.
Right.
Because this guy's Kukuriku that he says is deeper than like it's piercing all the layers of heaven, because he's davening from a place that is not even limited to words. It's going to a place way beyond words. Is this deep desire for connection. Baal Shem Tov saw that.
Wow. I feel that our generation is reconnecting to the Baal Shem Tov's generation.
Yeah.
The way the simple man saw the world through the eyes of the Baal Shem Tov, we're now experiencing that also. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the way that simple peasant, Jewish peasant, saw the world when the Baal Shem Tovs talked to him in a Farbrengen, is the way we're seeing life today. Cool. Isn't that cool? It's so cool.
Yeah. So, what's the avodah of Rosh Hashanah? If I'm going to a place of relationship, what's the connection of wanting relationship to blowing a shofar? Well, where does the tradition of shofar come from to begin with? Where do we come from the idea of blowing the shofar? Is that Avram was going to sacrifice Yitzchak, right? And instead he sacrificed the ram, right? So what's the significance of that? What's the connection? Avram and Yitzchak were the ultimate combination of the dedication to God. It says, according to the Medrash, that Yitzchak was like, tie me up so I don't think of even jumping off of the Mizbeach that you're going to slaughter me on. It's like, and he was 37 at the time. It's not like he was a little kid and he didn't know what was going on. And everyone was just like, yeah, just lie here and I'm just going to, but he was, I'm with this process. I'm totally given over. So right in the shofar already, there's this idea of full devotion, full given over to the process, even though it didn't make sense. It's like Avram and Yitzchak were saying, even if the Jewish people doesn't continue, that is the whole purpose of creation right now. I'm not worried about the future right now. I'm diving into the connection of what God wants in this moment. I'm fully given over. So you blow the shofar to connect to that. That's one thing. But why the shofar? What is the shofar? The shofar represents this blow, this simple sound that comes out of the heart. There's no words for it. There can't be words. As soon as there are words, it's limited. Shofar is reminding us, is downloading into our hearts this level of relationship that was pre-creation. It literally transcends all the limits of creation and brings us back to what we're really here for. And if you think about it, all relationship, if you're having a conversation with someone, when someone's speaking to you, if you're listening to what they're saying, you're only getting the surface of what's going on. Listen to the words behind the words. Listen to the messenger, not the message. What Rosh Hashanah does is it reminds us of the real message. What the shofar reminds us of, it reminds us of the real message. What's the real message? I want your heart. I want you. So you blow the shofar to access the heart. Why? Because it's the language of the heart. The language of the heart is a simple call. A simple call to be in relationship with you. So what the shofar is saying, listen inside my voice that I can't express. Because as soon as it comes in the form of expression, it's limited again. So it says, I'm going to go above expression. Just a simple call. The question is, can you hear it? Can you hear the message? Don't listen to the words, because the words are eclipsing the experience. It's camouflaging the experience. The words cannot contain it. So the Chiddush begins with the Tekiah because it's a renewal of pleasure and desire. It starts with a long blow. It's like, boo, I want you. It had to be communicated with no words, no blockages. And then you see, as we're blowing the shofar, it goes from the Tekiah, it's that one long blow, and it goes, and it chops it up. So it's like, burr, 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 burr. So remember you said, I get those moments of pleasure in life? Life gives us moments of pleasure because we can't fully enjoy and be in pleasure because we're not connected to how it's really supposed to be. We're here on a mission. So life gets chopped up where I get a moment of pleasure and then it goes, you get those moments, and then it goes back ultimately to the rhythm of creation is that there was that oneness, then there was that individuation, those blows that chopped each other up, the life's interruptions and blockages that reminds me of what we're doing here, that's taking me away from who I really am, and then I am supposed to go back to that message of feeling the oneness within the brokenness, which is a higher form of experiencing the oneness. It's the rhythm of creation. So the shofar on Rosh Hashanah represents that rhythm of creation because it ends off with a tekiah. But the tekiah gedolah is longer than the original tekiah because what we get out of being here is much more than just being up there. Ultimately. So the rhythm of creation is there's a oneness, it's klal prat klal, it's the oneness to the individuation, back to the oneness, but the second oneness is more meaningful, it's deeper. You can only experience oneness when you have division. So the shofar touches this level of rebooting everything, rebooting the whole system, and saying, hey, I have compassion for you. God is saying, I have compassion for you. I know you're going to go through this brokenness. It goes, boo, and then boop, 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 boop. I know you're going to go through this brokenness. And hey, it's for a process. The process is to come back to the oneness. I'm in as much pain. I'm with you in that pain. I'm giving you the mitzvah that's showing that pain because I'm experiencing the way you're experiencing. Now get with the program and match what I'm feeling as well. So when Hashem blew into man, that was a representation of the shofar. As Hashem was the ultimate one that blew into creation. When we blow, we're matching that level. The vibration of creation. And when we say the shofar means, shofar comes from the word shapir, which means to make beautiful. Welcome. Shofar makes beautiful. What does it mean to make beautiful? It means I've given you a life, make it beautiful. Shofar reminds us to make a beautiful life. How do we make it beautiful? Doing the mitzvahs. Making it an opportunity for connection. Don't waste the opportunity because you think you got to pay your bills and you think you got to do this and you got to do that and everything's getting in the way. Remember why you're here. Every moment is an opportunity to make life like a shofar, beautiful, beautify it. Make it special. And it's an animal, it has to come from the animal also because it's the most primal space. What's an animal? An animal just, when an animal feels something, it just goes and lets go. It lets go to its most primal force. And what the shofar is teaching us is go to your most primal place. Go to a place of above all the thoughts and experiences that you had. Just go to that deep, deep place inside you. You know, in a certain sense, when you're single, you feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you're infinite. You feel like you could become God. In a certain sense, you're untouchable, right? That's why Yashka thought he was God, because he never got married. Once you get married, you realize how limited you are. And how much you're triggered by everything that's happening in your life. But that is the ultimate idea of what we're experiencing between us and God. Because I have to go into a place of experiencing my limits in order to really meet relationship. That's what this world's all about. Because what God said is, he says, I'm willing to renounce my infinity for a relationship with you. Are you willing to do the same thing for me? He renounced his infinity to have a relationship with us. He says, I'm no longer infinite expression. I'm going to hide from you. I'm going to create this limited world. It's going to feel like life is limited. It's going to feel like I'm not here. It's going to feel like my expression is limited only to the infinite spheres of whatever. So he renounced his infinity for us. We have to renounce our own infinity. When we get married, we really experience God in the strongest way possible. You have a kid, you experience it even more. Imagine someone says, I have everything, I'm infinite, and then I'm willing to lose that and become vulnerable to you, for you. And then you turn around to that person and you don't want anything to do with them. How vulnerable is that? How crushing is that? That's what God feels when we don't want to have anything to do with him, or we want to turn our back on him and do something else and not want to do the mitzvahs, not want to connect and not want to be here and want to F off or whatever else it is that we want to do. He's not going to tell you that. He's not going to cry to you. That's something you just have to know. You have to know what the process of life is, what the game of life is. So, the deen of Rosh Hashanah is that everything is for you, but are you here or not here? That's the question. Where's your Ratzon? Because that's your whole world. If God's whole world was created by Ratzon, that's your whole world. Where do you place your wants and desire? What do you get excited about in life? Where do you put that? When you say, I want this or I want that, finish the sentence in yourself. And I want you to take a deep breath, close your eyes for a second, and imagine, where do you spend most of your time and your wants? You say, I want this, I want that. Where is it? Where do you place it? Did you ever meet the vibration that the whole world was created just for you and that he wants just you? Do you identify with that relationship? Are you in that same frequency? Because all of existence, every single thing that exists today in the world right now, right here, is God's desire, just to be in relationship with you. And my consciousness ends up defining my reality. Did you realize that? Did you realize that until now? Your consciousness defines your reality. So if my head, where's my head? Where's my head at? And where's my head at is all being put up to question on Rosh Hashanah, because it's putting my head in the right direction. What am I dedicated to? So it can become a heavy day because I could realize that I haven't really been showing up to that message. It could become very heavy. And that's why most people don't like Rosh Hashanah. But what if it's a day that I have an opportunity to dive deeper into connection? Do you have the courage to do that? Do you have the courage to let go of whatever you've told yourself about what life is and to meet Him on Rosh Hashanah, the day that He said, I want you? But that's scary. You know why? Because like Nachman always says, you're going to have to lose your identity. You're going to have to choose a new identity. And the strongest form in the human psyche, strongest need in the human psyche is to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. So losing your identity is one of the scariest things you can do. To let go of how you've thought that life was supposed to be until now, what life is all about until now. So the process becomes honestly looking at myself and seeing how I'm showing up. As he says in the Maimer, you pashpesh b'maisav, you have to really do some introspection. And the night before Rosh Hashanah is a time of what's called Shina. The world is sleeping. The energy of the world is sleeping. It's called the cosmic slumber of life. Everything goes to sleep, and the shofar wakes it up. How do you wake something up? When you're sleeping in the middle of the night and your kid is crying and screaming from his crib. Do you remember those days? You ever heard a kid crying and screaming? You wake up. Why do you wake up? Because that primal scream wakes you up. Just wakes you up. When we blow Rosh Hashanah, this Rosh Hashanah, let it be Did you hear that? When you blow the shofar, when the shofar is blown, wake up. Wake up to all your desires. Forget about everything. Let go of everything for that moment. And just dive into that connection of a little boy in a crib screaming out that he wants his father, he wants his mother. Go back to that place. And that's when the whole relationship is in question, right there in that moment. And then Sukkot becomes a celebration of that which was bottled up. But I need to for 10 days, I need to go very internal. I need to go very, very introspective. I need to go very deep in my relationship. I need to go to the depths of who I am. And it comes without words. And that's why people naturally don't want to speak on Rosh Hashanah. They don't want to speak on Yom Kippur because it's a very, very sacred process. It's between me and God, nobody else. Tamlichuni alechem. Kadesha tamlichuni alechem, however you say it is. Or it's the idea of to make God king means it's all about God that day. It's all about me and you. To go to a place, hu ushmayu bilvad. To go to a place just me and you. Do you remember those days when it's just me and you? And it's acknowledging that there is a challenge. Yeah, life comes with challenges. And of course, everyone thinks you daven on Rosh Hashanah for money and this, and it's going to affect it. If you daven for money, you're going to have whatever you decide on. It's going to have the. But go deeper. Go just a little bit deeper. Forget about the money. Forget about the health and this. Just go for the relationship. Go for the glory. And what happens when I go for the glory? Yeshkoina Olamai Basha Echas. You captured everything in that one moment. You capture everything in that one moment. Rosh Hashanah, your whole year is going to flow with infinite consciousness. And then forget about what you get or what you don't get in the world, but what if I could show up to every moment because of what I'm connected to, because of what I created at the beginning of the year? What if everything that I'm dealing with doesn't have to feel so damn tough and I could just let myself go through it? That's Rosh Hashanah. Because what you're saying on Rosh Hashanah is, God, I want that relationship, and no matter what you give me this year, I'm taking it because it's an opportunity to connect with you. So you say tiku. What does tiku b'chay the shofar mean? Tiku means to blow, but it also means to ingrain. It means fix inside of you this message of the shofar and this newness of that at any moment that the world and what God's world is trying to take away from you, remember, that is a moment that I can go into a place of renewing the relationship, making it better, doing some work on myself, having a deeper connection. And that's why Tishrei starts from the lowest letter. I've got to be willing to go all the way. From Aleph to Taf. Tough sometimes is really tough. We all know tough. I had probably one of the toughest years of my life this year. If I could say that. If I could say so. And I'm still here. I think at 40, my greatest accomplishment is that I'm experiencing life differently no matter what's coming at me. And it hurts, it's painful. I got to feel a lot of feelings. I got to go to the depths, me and my makim. And we all got to do that. And I'm ready for a renewal. I'm ready to go deeper. That's what I'm here for. So the Chaim Levracha, to everyone here, this Rosh Hashanah, you should fix into your hearts that scream. Let it be felt inside of you. And the reason that we do it is very simply because that's who you are. And you can't explain why you do it if that's who you are. Chaim. Yeah. Don't focus on the message, but recognize that God is communicating with you. Ay, ay, ay.